Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well this morning. See the numbers are climbing, but it's 1 minute past, and we're going to start. Tyler, can you hear me loud and clear?
Good morning, Luke. Yes, all is good, and I can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. All right, everyone. AI visibility. This new thing that some people have picked up on and are working with, and some people like yourselves are trying to learn more. I'm sure there's a few of you online who really know what they're doing already, and some people who just have no idea what's coming. It's fundamentally changing the way we do things. And as HubSpot users, which a lot of us are on this call, we're all trying to generate revenue for our businesses. And this is changing the landscape of revenue operations fundamentally. And I don't think everyone is cottoned on to that fact. We at Mo Agency are certainly taking it very seriously, as we will show you. Just a small caveat. It is a complex technical subject when you get under the hood. And what I've presented here are the main things that we need to be aware of. So it's presented as an introduction to the technicalities of AI visibility. And we go a little bit deep, but not hugely deep, because I think everyone needs to understand what it entails at a broad level. I'll also end off on a little bit of our own data to share with you how we're looking at it for our organization, Mo Agency, and some of the results that we've got, and just what we look at ourselves. I mean, obviously we do this for a lot of our clients, but I think it really it drives home the point when we show you how we're doing it with our data. So let's jump in. Just get active here. Cool. So what we'll cover: why your buyers now ask AI before they ask you, how an LLM actually decides who to recommend, the 3 metrics: citations, mentions, and rank. Rank is something that is, I guess we've come up with it at our company. It's not talked about. People talk about citations and mentions, but I'll show you why rank is very important. The 3 levers: on-page content, schema, and off-page authority. For those eagle-eyed amongst you, you'll notice that there's some similarity to SEO. And then I'll show you the live demo. Just another little caveat: the discipline of AI visibility, or Answer Engine Optimisation, or generative engine optimization, or AI search is still trying to find a name for itself. We call it AI visibility because it's a bit of a catch-all. But I'll also define for you what the difference between AEO is, which is what HubSpot terms the discipline, and GEO, because actually technically there are 2 definitions emerging and they work together. Okay, so your buyers are asking AI before they ask you. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity are now research tools, not novelties. Everyone is using them. All our buyers are using them. I guess that might be different for some industries, but if you're in marketing, if you've got HubSpot, if you have a website, typically they're searching with AI. One thing that I probably should have added there, just looking at it now, is Microsoft Copilot. A lot of big organizations get that as part of their Microsoft stack, so that should be in there, but remember that leans heavily on ChatGPT. The answers they provide, shapes the shortlist before you ever hear from them, okay? That is the top of funnel and possibly some of the middle of funnel. AI is shaping that now. We used to, back in the day, for those of you who'd been in the game for a long time, inbound marketing was it. So we'd have a beautiful thing, reports to download, gated, and that's how we'd operate. Obviously, SEO formed part of that awareness function as well. One of the caveats around this, well, not a caveat, but an interesting thing, the traffic lands as direct in your analytics. So it's entirely invisible to standard reports. And most marketers can't tell you if they show up, they just hope. So we'll show you how to do that as well. Personally, 35% of our traffic is coming from LLMs already. That's huge. It's by far the biggest chunk of our traffic. It's taken over organic SEO, which is wild. Organic SEO used to be 70% of our traffic. Interesting fact there, our traffic has dropped radically. That's why that's 35% and not 70%, but our quality has gone up, which is another thing that we could talk about. So how AI actually answers a question. This is something that most people don't necessarily understand. So getting into a model's memory and getting retrieved live are two different jobs, okay? So when you type, and I've tailored this to what we do as an organization, best HubSpot partner in South Africa. Some of it comes from memory, or what we term training data, okay? And some of it comes from live retrieval, which is essentially the LLM does a web search, okay? From memory, you get a mention and you get a rank. I'm going to define rank. There's no link attached. And from live retrieval, we actually get a citation, which is that clickable link that you see sometimes on Google when you're actually in a search engine, and it goes over to Gemini mode. So when you basically get the LLM, you get a link. You also get it in Claude and Perplexity and ChatGPT. Two different jobs, but you need both. Interesting fact, generally top of funnel requests. For example, how do I do this process, or what is the person is still trying to define a problem. Those typically come from memory training data. Once you get down to bottom of funnel, they start coming from live retrieval. And actually the format of that answer starts to change, and I'll show that to you as well. So from ranking links to being the answer, SEO got you onto the page of blue links. Interesting fact, it's no longer 10 links. They are shoving sponsored links onto the page. So it varies between 6, 7, and 8 links. It used to be a standard 10. Mechanism is backlinks and on-page content. So backlinks are linking to your pages. Okay, on-page content, obviously it's got to be aligned to what the user is searching. That's called, in the old days, that was keyword stuffing, obviously not anymore. Now, AEO, Answer Engine Optimisation. The way, and this is like right on the bleeding edge, it has not been defined, but this is how we've settled on it. It's shaping the answer in the LLMs, okay? So the mechanism is extracting pieces of your website out, and that's why we talk about having bite-sized chunks of information, basically almost the summary of your page at the top. That is how you shape the answer in an LLM. GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization, okay, it's the same discipline but aimed at generative engines specifically. So how the LLM synthesizes and cites your data. Somewhat different. So think of AEO as extracting that piece, and the information that they present is essentially what you had on your website. The GEO piece is what parts of your thinking are synthesized into the answer and cited link. Okay, you're no longer competing for a click. You're competing to be the sentence the AI says out loud. You know, who's the best at this? How can someone help me with this? Who's the best service provider in Cape Town for X? So, were you cited, mentioned, and ranked? Again, citation, AI presents your link. A mention, AI recommends you. And a rank, puts you first. I don't know if you've searched for the companies you own or work at on LLMs. They rank providers. They rank the most credible, site-worthy option first. There is 100% rank in a bottom of funnel question on an LLM. So it's the one question. So it's the one question to ask after every AI answer. 3 signals, 3 different things to fix. Were you cited, mentioned, and ranked? Okay. So now let's jump into the metrics and have a look at what they are. So what is a citation? The source links inside an AI answer that point back to your pages. Why it matters. This is the AI actively sending you traffic already pre-qualified. Okay. No one's had to search through Google listings, sort through them, research. Generally, the answer that comes up first, they're going to go to, or they're going to take note of. And I just made another little watch out. It often arrives as direct. So it's the easiest signal to miss. Take any of your LLM apps, whether you're on ChatGPT or Claude, go click one of these. So we've got the source Mo agency here. Go click it and have a look at the link that appears. There's no UTM tag, source tag of any sort. It's pure direct traffic. Okay. Mentions. The model names your brand with no link attached. Looks like this. For Answer Engine Optimisation in South Africa, Mo Agency has a strong track record, real measurable results for enterprise and growth-led companies. Okay. Why it matters, you got recommended without needing a click. Pure trust transfer. Example, Mo Agency can help you with AEO, strong track record, real results. The recommendation is the win, even when there's nothing to click. Again, what someone might do, go to a web browser and type in Mo Agency. Again, direct traffic. Metric 3, rank. We've discussed this, but I just want to, as I said, guys, I'm just going to reiterate things because these are core concepts that we have to dial in to understand how the whole thing works. What is it? Ask AI for the best provider and it returns 3 or 4 names. Position 1 is rank 1. Why it matters. The most bottom of funnel signal there is. This is where the buying decision gets made, or at least the buying decision to select Mo Agency, Agency B, and Agency C. Agency D probably out of the picture, but what we've also found is that a lot of people come to us because we do quite well on this, and they're actually saying, now, you're the only people I've come to. Please do a good sales process and make sure the pricing is right, which is super interesting. And that's what I mean. It's changing the way we buy things. So how we track it weekly across ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. I did mention Perplexity earlier. It's not really used in the country. And I did leave off here Microsoft Copilot, but again, that leverages ChatGPT. Okay, so what does this look like? Okay, how do you get cited, mentioned, and ranked? So 3 factors to consider. On-page content, right to be quoted. Remember, Answer Engine Optimisation. Schema, declared facts in a language machines trust. And I'll show you what schema looks like. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of it. For those of you not, I'm going to unpack that. And off-page authority. So get corroborated everywhere else. For example, a press release. For example, a listicle that includes you. Your company is one of the top 10 rated digital marketing agencies, HubSpot partners in Africa, for example. Okay, now if we have a look over here, this is a query to best AEO or Answer Engine Optimization agencies in South Africa. Okay, again, we can see the citations over here. We can see an external one, and we can see competitors. And this result is synthesized from that. You'll notice that we actually pop up here. We're number one, so we're ranked number one in Blue Magnet, iMod. This is actually coming from a piece of software. There's a number of softwares out there to do this. They all sort of do different things at the moment. It's not very mature. Okay, but you can actually see the citations that are building that answer, and that answer goes down further. Okay, so as I said, we're going to do on-page content, schema, and off-page authority to build this case and understand how this thing works. Okay, on-page, right to be quoted, not just ranked. AI engines answer best X questions by lifting sentences straight from your page. Okay, Answer Engine Optimization, and then naming the source. To show up, your page has to be easy to extract, easy to verify, and easy to trust. On the right, if you look at the quote, you can't make up false claims and expect to be cited. LLMs extract, verify, trust. You can't say you're the best at this, or you're one of the top HubSpot partners in a region, unless someone else or some other source on the internet verifies it. It just won't trust it. It's not like old school SEO. If you have a strong page, it won't work unless it's verified and trusted from somewhere else. Okay. 3 things to decide whether you get cited. Okay. Claims a model can quote word for word. Structure, a machine can parse clearly. That's talking about the schema. And trust signals that are corroborated everywhere elsewhere. Okay. Again, on page, make every claim specific and provable. Lead with specific superlative, like a leading agency gets ignored. So what we do, South Africa's most reviewed HubSpot partner with 250 plus verified 5-star reviews. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that you need to be doing. Remember, there is these review platforms exist, so the LLMs will map that, and it's verified. Quantify everything. Numbers, readers, high confidence evidence. Vague, like we increase your revenue, goes nowhere with LLMs. Okay, substantiate it or cut it. An award-winning claim with no citable award is invisible to AI and a credibility risk. Okay, use the same claim everywhere. Models trust fact more when the wording is consistent on page and off. By off, I mean not on your website. Okay, structure for machines and not just readers. Enumerate services explicitly in cards or lists, not buried in prose, so like verbose language, okay? Bullet points also work very well. So AI classifies you correctly and broadly. Use question-led FAQ blocks at the bottom of your service pages, your home pages, about pages that mirror the exact prompts people ask. Again, we're talking about a HubSpot consultancy like us. Who can, how does Mo help South African companies get the most out of their HubSpot implementations? And then a nice answer below it. Write self-contained chunks. One section answers one question, so it can stand alone to be extracted. Okay, and then add the schema markup. Again, I'm going to unpack that. Okay, number 2, after on page, schema. The strongest signal in the AI era. Okay, Google rewrites your meta descriptions 60 to 70% of the time. Your handcrafted copy is mostly suppressed on the search engine result pages. I've been frustrated by that. You've crafted a really nice meta description for your homepage, and Google put something else there. That doesn't happen with schema. So AI engines preserve that JSON, okay, verbatim. What you declare is what they consume. Schema is declared authoritative fact. Body copy is inferred, and inference can go wrong. So every modern crawler passes JSON. So Bing, Google, and every major LLM from Claude to Perplexity. Schema has been part of websites forever. The good SEOs among you would have used a lot of it. But websites were able to rank really well without it being executed properly. And I'll be the first to say our website had schema, but it was like breadcrumb schema. It was really limited, and we did well on SEO. Not so for the AI visibility era. Okay, so where AI looks for your facts. Okay, so on the right, that's the priority, the schema description. And it's important to note that the description you can put in your schema is very different to the description you put in your web page. In your web page, you're limited to about 150, 160 odd characters. Otherwise, it gets appended with a parentheses, those 3 dots. Schema, you can put about 450 characters in it, and the whole thing is consumed by the LLM. Okay. Then we've got the first paragraph, often quoted directly. That's the piece that the LLMs are going to grab onto and hopefully push as an answer. Then you've got your H1, your adjacent subheading. Okay. And it's all got a strong semantic signal. So it's all got a link. Okay. Then your FAQs, your page title tag, and your meta description way down there. And you would have noticed I haven't put your body copy here. Okay. It is important. There's no doubt about it. But these are what is very, very important. You can probably drop the meta description off there. I've put it there because I need to impress upon you the fact that a meta description, SEO-wise, is different to a schema description. Okay. There are things called schema types, and I'm sure a lot of you on the call know about them, some don't. Each type of page on your website needs a schema type, and it's very specific. There are also some ambiguities on this. So blog posting beats article for a blog post. But technically, you could use article, but it's technically correct to use blog posting. Your service pages must have service, not web page, okay? Your organizational schema goes on your home page. I'll show you an example of that. And every page that has FAQs needs FAQ page schema, okay? Additional types of schemas that you actually need: organization, local business, service, blog posting, article, FAQ, person, and breadcrumb list. Okay. It's beyond the scope of what we are going to jump into here, but I'm just trying to bring your awareness to how this AI visibility game is put together, so you can kind of go off and figure out what you probably got missing or need to improve on. That is what schema looks like. Okay. It sits in the head of your website code, and the AIs look at it word for word. It is verbatim that they take it. So it needs to be correct. Okay. As I've mentioned there, treat the schema description as marketing copy, not metadata. Okay. The formula: entity is category, differentiator, acronyms in full, the scope, and one concrete proof point. Notice, so I've synthesized a very short one, but that's very accurate for a professional sort of service for Mo agency. Okay. South Africa's leading Answer Engine Optimisation AEO, so not acronyms, the full thing, and generative engine optimization, GEO, agency, measuring brand citations and mentions across these LLMs. Okay. That is what I would put on a very specific professional service page optimizing for those services. It does get longer and it gets more complicated, but that is ridiculously clear to an LLM. Okay. And then I mentioned this is short. I can use up to 450 characters here. And this can be detailed for every single page on your website. You might not want to do that. It's a big job, but certainly all your service pages, your home pages, your about pages, etc. Okay. So now we've done on page, schema, and now we're doing off page. The web decides your mentions and rank. Okay. So on page and schema control how you're quoted. Off page controls whether you're known. So corroboration, things like, at least in our industry, for agencies and digital consultancies, Clutch is a big one. If you're a software, SaaS, G2, big time. Verified reviews. So for us, it's the HubSpot partner directory portal. It's Google reviews. Okay, AI trust factors it sees in more than one place start to work. Listicles do work great at the moment, and then entity grounding. So keep your name, your claims, and your category consistent everywhere. So if you have a profile on Biz Community, it needs to mirror what's on your website, what's on Clutch. Okay, that's very important. Those consistencies will push your brand further in the LLMs. Okay. And all of this is coming into your brand. The big difference with SEO is SEO needed these lines to be backlinks. Otherwise, the association did not exist. With LLMs, you can be mentioned, for example, on a listicle. That full authority is passed through to your brand. Okay. As long as the entity grounding is consistent. So for us, Mo Agency is a elite HubSpot partner in South Africa. They operate in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Done. That needs to be across all the surfaces on the web. Okay. So what to do next? Ask ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. All right. Best your category in your market and screenshot what you get. Okay. Rewrite your homepage and your top service page or pages with one specific, quantified, provable claim each. Add or fix your organization, service, and FAQ page schema. Write semantically rich and factual descriptions. By the way, if you're unsure about the schema, there's a lot of tools online that can do this work for you. And then it's a web developer to copy paste it. Platforms like WordPress do this particularly well, Yoast, for example, but you do need to double check these things for them to be accurate. The descriptions are always going to be custom, whether you generate them in AI and put them inside manually, or whether you write them manually and put them on the website, up to you. Audit your top 5 third-party listings for a consistent claim and category. Again, take these directories, profiles, pop all the links into your favorite LLM, ask where the inconsistencies, and it'll come up. And if I were you as well, I'd throw your website in there as well and say where the inconsistencies, go fix those. You'd be surprised what you find. We're busy with that process at the moment, and it never ends. And then set a weekly check so you can see the movement instead of guessing. And that's the tricky one. because there's a lot of moving parts to action here. Okay. So you can't do, sorry, that's a typo. I did this morning. You can't do, you can do all of this. The hard part is keeping up with the cadence and to know if it worked. The difficulties we faced at doing this at scale, answers change daily. They vary by engine. So you're no longer just looking at Google. You're looking at, we look in South Africa at Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude. Different regions can be different. I know in the States, there's a lot of perplexity. Grok, not popular here, potentially in the States. So the answers change daily. They vary by engine, and they never show up in Google Analytics. So the analytics on this are very, very tricky. So you've actually got to build your own analytics on this, which is a nightmare at the moment. And there are a few platforms that do it. They're hellishly expensive. We went through a number. Profound, $400 a month for one brand. We've got another one that we use, Rank Scale. I think it's about $300 a month, and we can put multiple brands through there, but there's limitations. The quality is poor. Recording weekly progress across multiple prompts and multiple engines gets complex. You should see the spreadsheets we've had in the past and do have to manage this. It's complicated. And then collating those results and delivering actionable actions and content updates is tricky. You know, which content has been updated, which hasn't. I mean, it's the usual stuff. It's just got a layer of complexity to it. Okay. So we actually built a system to manage these for our own AI visibility program. We then extended it to a few pilot clients. Now all of our AI visibility clients are using it. And we've added, it's just grown over the last few months, and because people wanted access to their data. So we added user access so our clients can pull the reports and even optimize their own content alongside us. So I'm going to show you a demo of this, but I'm not trying to pitch the software at all or anything like that. I just want to show you all these concepts because it brings it together very nicely in a way that you would probably not normally see, because this is a real problem. You must see the spreadsheets we've got and we produce on a daily basis. Our reliance on them has decreased, but we still run a lot of the data outside of this. This software can't do everything. I mean, we're not professional SaaS people at all. It's mostly an internal tool. But let me show you how this works. So one of the big things when it comes to everything that I've discussed is you might want to track the prompts, but you don't know what pages are being referenced by AI. And this was the first problem we set out to solve. So if you have a look over here, it says AI.mo agency. First thing we did was we extrapolated our sitemaps into something called a llms.txt, which is essentially the AI sitemap. Okay. And it's a watered down version, but it, as you'll see here, details main, about, the solutions we offer, industries we work in, case studies, and just some of the tools that we've got. It doesn't include our blog posts, so it's our main pages. And what you'll see is it ends in a .md. So if I copy this, you'll see that is our web page, okay? that is the actual page, all pretty, and can you see our bite-sized chunk? Okay. And the elements that we do, all the things that I talked about. That's the page with a lot of pretty images, and it's quite heavyweight, even though it's lighter weight than we had with our previous website. This is the page in Markdown. It's exactly, so this is our schema. So you can actually see that's a service. There's our organization ID is part of this website. There's the description. Here's our catalog offer, okay, our FAQs. And then most importantly, here's the website content in Markdown. Very, very lightweight. So our whole website is converted to this Markdown every hour. So if we update the website, it converts to this. Now, the beautiful thing about this is we then start getting the bots that come to our website. So if we track this over 90 days, and we can start to see which bots are actually browsing our website and which pages they're browsing. You'll notice that that llms.txt is the most popular page of all. And then we can start to go, okay, that's OpenAI. Here's Microsoft, okay, Anthropic. And they've all got different signatures. Anthropic, here's where we started it. Hit us hard, and then now, because our content hasn't been updated, is actually quite slow. Microsoft started, it was non-existent, and now we can see it actually browses our website quite a lot. That was how this kit started off, okay? So now we've got the analytics and we know which AI bots are coming to our website. How do we track that with prompts? So we set up a workspace. It details a brand truth, okay? You can see it's linked to our ai.mo.agency, which is basically the Markdown files, okay? And then what we can start doing is we can start tracking prompts, and we have different subjects. So HubSpot partners, AEO, digital marketing agency, HubSpot implementation, RevOps, SEO, and website development. These are our core services, okay? One thing that we need to add in here is paid media performance. Each of these prompts, again, is attached to a subject, okay? We then pop up competitors in, okay? So these are, because we have a few different lines of business, sometimes our competitor is a pure SEO company. Sometimes they're a CRM company. These guys do Salesforce, okay? So they're varied. And then we get results. Every week, we run our prompt set, which is 74 prompts across 1, 2, 3 LLMs, all our topics. And I'll just show you this one, for example, HubSpot partners. And what we start to see is how frequently we are mentioned, our competitor set that also pops up in the LLMs, okay? And how frequently we're in the top 3. What's our average position, okay? And we then see the prompts, whether we've been mentioned, whether they're citations. Okay, so let's go over here. Not mentioned, mentioned, not number 1, mentioned is number 1. Okay, cool. So let's actually go to one that's not perfect. So this is, we're mentioned in these prompts, but we're not number 1. Okay, so let's open this up. I'm going to do this and just close that out. And what I can do is I can actually see for how do I choose a HubSpot partner in South Africa, which is probably a middle of funnel question. So I would not expect rank too much. I'm probably going to come a lot from, it's actually probably top of funnel, middle of funnel. So remember what I said, the higher up the funnel you are, the more it's going to be training data. The further you come down, it's going to start doing, it's going to start indexing the web and pulling content from that. And we can actually see here, and never seen this before, it's the only place I've ever seen this, but I can see Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google sitting next to each other, or Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini sitting next to each other. I can see what the citations are. Interestingly, look how different they are. Mo Agency, that's another partner, competitor. OpenAI, purely just HubSpot. Google, all sorts, but not HubSpot. Clutch, remember I talked about the directory listings is there. And then we have a look at the brands mentioned. So Anthropic has treated this very top of funnel, and they're actually explaining this, okay? Here's the interesting thing. I know this copy, and this answer is coming from our website, and you can see it here. This is pure Answer Engine Optimisation, okay? However, there's no rank here because it's not bottom of funnel as far as Anthropic is detailing it, okay? So it's a very educational post. You'll see there's no links in it, okay? It's just saying where it was cited from. OpenAI, same sort of thing, although it's actually providing links, okay? Much longer result. And Google, it's actually mentioning brands. See how different these are across the spectrum, okay? And it's probably further down. Okay, it's a hell of a long answer, but somewhere in there, oh, here we are. Okay, here's the brand mentions, okay? Interestingly, I mean, that's a diamond partner. These two are elite partners. I don't know why that one's on top, but this is the stuff we're trying to figure out with these different results, okay? What I can then do now with the software is I can actually go analyze, and this is where it gets really cool. So now it's got all the data, all these prompts, all the citations, everything inside a big database. So it's all stored. Give it a second. So it's just making a call to one of the AIs. And please, everyone, if you have questions, just post them and we'll answer them at the end. That'll probably be another 5 minutes or so. Okay. And then we have an analysis of why we rank, what competitors are praised for. And it's actually telling me, go update this content. You need to create this content. And here's some quick wins on your existing content. Okay. This I can now do a quick export. And I can go pop this into my favorite LLM and say, take this data and let's rework some content or create some new content. Very, very powerful thing to do. Let's go to where we mentioned number one. So let's maybe go here. Okay, so this is now much more bottom of funnel. Okay, and you can see over here, a little bit different. Notice how we're starting to get sort of almost ranked here. Yeah. And actually, we're starting to get some actual links in here. That's what I meant about. And here, we're actually mentioned number one and all of our data. Okay, so this is more bottom of funnel. Okay, now reporting. That's why I said, let me show it to you because it starts to bring out how the stuff is reported on and what we can do. So let's go to HubSpot Partners. And this is really interesting. This week, things just tanked and everything's in the red. And it does this. It goes up and down and up and down. Okay. Remember, we're looking at all providers on our topic of HubSpot partners. So look at these two things. So here's mention rate over time. Here's our competitive set. These might be well known to you, considering they're all HubSpot partners in the country. And you can see we're in orange. How we sit over there, and our mention rate is a little bit lower here than Hubble, but our average position, so we're ranked above in the answers more frequently than everyone else. This factor and this metric and this metric get compounded into what we call a quality score. Okay. And that's how we measure how you're doing on particular prompts. And so in this case, we've actually a lot better. We were a lot higher last week, but it does this. It's kind of weird. I have no idea why. Nothing's changed, but that's what we're seeing. And then I can go as well, and I can go, okay, cool. Anthropic, let's go AEO, for example, and let's go all providers. Hey, we did better last week on that. Anthropic, OpenAI, we really jumped a lot, and on the mention rate, and on Google Gemini, we dropped. So this was all spreadsheets before, and now we run it in here. This is where it gets really cool, and why I said it's important to understand what the LLMs are doing on your website. So for example, this top result, okay, in the last 30 days, and it's because the content hasn't been updated recently. So it's been cited in our prompt set 273 times. Okay, that's a lot. This piece of content has popped up in 33 distinct prompts that we're tracking. And in the last 30 days, it's been crawled once. So now I can go through this and I can see where we're popping up for on our pages. And I can go way down and I can see, okay, geez, this one over here, we're only popping up for Google. Why are we not popping up for the rest of the industry? I can now, let's actually choose another one. Yeah, so let's actually go here and I can analyze it. And remember, we've got prompt data and we've got bot data here. So basically, it's telling us we are not engaged. There've been no crawls, okay, at all for Anthropic and OpenAI. This is something we need to optimize for. And Google has not come back to, the bots for Google Gemini have not come back to our website ever, okay? This is basically invisible to the LLMs, okay? So what I'd need to do is now, again, analyze the content. Got to love the world of AI models and the stuff you can do. And this is a deep kind of industry page we've got on our website, but it got launched with our new website and probably just hasn't seen any love at all. There's just been other priorities. Okay, siteworthiness 3. No topic classification assigned. Okay, that's good old schema. Okay, the page lacks any concrete citable outcome data. Okay, page contains no explicit scannable answer. There's no visible mention of South Africa or the African hospitality market context. So remember what I talked about consistency across pages and being citable. It's really poor on that. Okay. Again, here's a schema update. Okay. It's also saying here's some potential prompts that you could track that might actually surface this for. Again, I can now export this to Claude, and let me actually see if this will open here. No, it's actually going to open on let me actually see. I'll show you what that looks like. Let me open it on another screen. because I'm basically done with that. And that's it's in a nutshell. Plus, it just discovers all your brands, which you can then promote to being tracked. Let me actually just show you what I would do in Claude with this. I'm just going to stop sharing, and then we'll open the floor to some questions. Okay, let's clean this up. Share again. So you can do this with any AI engine. At Mo, we're using, everyone has Claude licenses. And I am going to, let's have a look here. Let's do the travel one. Hi, while we're waiting for this, the last thing I'm going to show, are there some questions?
Yes, absolutely. We can definitely do that. The first one is, how do you differentiate between being cited by an AI platform and actually gaining meaningful visibility or business value from that citation?
It's a great question. So what we're doing in our organization is we are tracking qualified leads across our topics. So overall, our website traffic has dropped, okay, which is wild. But our leads and call-ins have increased, and the quality is far better. So this is where something like HubSpot comes in, where you can categorize your deals and your leads first based on the topic that they fall into. Remember, I showed you the topics, okay? So these are the topics we run here. And that's how we do it. But it's a great question, and it's an imperfect science. And that's why this falls. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing but you saw our topics. That is exactly why I believe that AI visibility all falls into a RevOps framework, because it is the only way that you can do this, especially if the calls are coming in. Obviously, those are difficult to track, okay? And the leads are coming in, and it's cited as direct traffic. HubSpot sometimes picks up, it's an AI referral, but quite frankly, that's if someone's using the AI or the LLM in a web browser. That's it. Yeah, good question.
Awesome. Do you want to continue presenting and then?
Yeah, let me continue this. Okay, cool. So here's the diagnosis. No extractable fact for the model to quote. One distinct prompt, no topic, no siblings. Okay, so it says we might be missing with the prompts. We might need to just build out the prompt, okay, network. Content additions, okay, so it's literally telling me what content to do. Basically some essentially, it actually, I mean, our Claude is pretty cool. It understands. It's got a HubSpot plugged into it, which again is why I suggest HubSpot, but it is aware of the work we've done. Okay, so it's actually pulling that out of HubSpot. And it's basically detailing exactly how to fix it. Look at this. This is exactly what I talked about. There's the meta description. Okay, here's your schema markup. So you'd be surprised if you export the internal linking, new prompts to track. This is a roadmap to get that thing to rank. We actually, as a company, have figured out how to do this. We just can't keep up with the massive push on what we need to do for ourselves. Obviously, we only allocate ourselves a set amount of hours in between our client work every month for this, but we just haven't got here. Cool.
Awesome. Cool. We have a few more questions. What are the biggest misconceptions you see brands make when they start investing in AEO and GEO? And how early do you think smaller companies should start investing in this?
Yeah, so my bigger brands are entirely unaware of this. Okay. And we have a few largest clients who a lot of our clients have taken this on. But there's some that have just said it's not a priority right now. They've got a launch happening or something, fair. But it's not 100% priority at the moment. For small businesses, it is an absolute game changer. Okay. If you were starting and you were a small business and you had a low domain authority, domain rank, which are like the SEMrush, Ahrefs way of scoring the authority of a website, you would always find it very hard to rank. Okay, so you often live on like paid media budgets, etc. This levels the playing field. I would expect there's a bit of a land grab at the moment, and the people that get ahead will get ahead, much like they did in SEO. But yeah, for small businesses to compete on organic search was nigh impossible. We know because we do it for a lot of sort of small and medium enterprises, and it was hard work to corner a particular phrase or topic. This is much easier at the moment.
Awesome.
So jump in now.
Absolutely. Saffron is asking, would you prioritize depth, more detail, or breadth, different topics for page content to get more visibility?
For paid content, sorry, just read that again.
Page content. So would you prioritize depth, more detail, or breadth, different topics for page content to get more visibility? Content.
Okay, so like SEO, you need a range of depth of content. We still advocate pillar pages, as well as supporting pages. Think hub and spoke, content pillars, all that good stuff. We still advocate that. Okay, but the bulk of your content is always going to be those sort of 700 to 1,200 word blog posts or pieces of content. When it comes to service pages, they can be relatively shallow on length of content, but they need to hit all the marks. So you need to, on a service page, have your schema, which I discussed. You need to have your standard title and meta description. You need to have that blurb at the top. I showed you ours. You need to have numbers. So you need to be able to prove we have done this. We've got this kind of results. Ideally, this kind of results for this client and those kind of results for that client. Logos with anchor texts that the AIs can read, and obviously FAQs, and potentially a handful of testimonials. Ideally with testimonials that say these Mo agency in our case did this for us, and this was the XYZ was the result, quantifiable. So might not be, it's not depth in terms of length of content, it's depth in terms of it's semantically rich. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke. I realize that we are at time. There are a few more questions. If we can maybe just do one more.
Yep.
Megan is saying, thanks for the interesting topic. How does LinkedIn get noticed as a verified trusted source that LLMs use to verify trustworthiness and credibility for a brand?
Yeah, great question. It hasn't up until now. This morning, I saw it properly for the first time, where a competitor had very good, lengthy posts, probably like 400, no, probably about 600 characters about particular services they were doing. And they popped up on our radar on this platform, and it was linking straight to their LinkedIn posts. I've never seen that before, saw it for the first time this morning. So, and I literally, I mean, Ty, you were in the discussion where we had our weekly check-in. That was part of it. I was like, wow, this is happening. So that's how it's working. And remember, your description on your company page needs to align with what's on your website. It needs to be the same knowledge graph. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. That is all the questions. We will share the recording with everybody post the session and a few notes so you can look out for that email.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Hope that was useful. Have a great day. Bye-bye.